But we're talking about Invisible Man.
We are indeed.
Which does not have gags, which is just straight up fucking scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
So written and directed by Leigh Whannell, who's the guy behind the Insidious
and the Saw series.
And the Saw series. So this is, it's funny, as Bibbs pointed out when he reviewed it for TheWrap, H.G. Wells' name does not appear in the credits.
Is it not like based on a thing by H.G. Wells?
Not this version.
On IMDb it is.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
in the credits of the movie, Wells' name does not appear, which is fine, but it's just like, it just goes to show you this is like far removed from what you might be expecting.
yeah, I'm a little surprised the opening credits don't say loosely based on Sleeping with the Enemy.
There's
Or enough.
There's a lot of Sleeping
I
with the
thought
Enemy.
about Sleeping with the Enemy. Yeah, as has been said, the real villain in this movie is domestic violence.
Yeah, no, but it's the same kind of stylish though as Sleeping with the Enemy. Like that house, is cold.
I kept expecting
and glass.
like the Berlioz music to start playing at any point, but
So Elisabeth Moss stars as a woman who, at the beginning of the film, we see fleeing in the middle of the night from an abusive husband, and like very abusive, like to the point where when he runs down after her, catches her in her sister's SUV and punches through the passenger window. Like, this guy's clearly bad news. He is also an expert in optics. And after a few weeks away from him, Moss's character finds out that he has committed suicide and left her $5 million. And then things start getting weird. She senses a presence, and people are sending emails out of her account and committing acts of violence on people close to her. And so he basically isolates her from her support system and is terrorizing her, and she is trying to convince people, no, my husband, not dead, also invisible.
right. And she talks about this in the same way that he would isolate her and abuse her when he was still alive,
right,
and people could see him.
Yes.
She's staying with her friend James, who's a detective played by Aldis Hodge, and James is a single father, and so there's a teen daughter there. And they
played by
are
Storm
played by
Reid
Storm
from
Reid.
Wrinkle in Time.
They are clearly potential targets to Cecilia's ex-husband, as is her sister. Yet this movie went in a direction that I had never really expected, about the psycho ex stalking someone and getting away with it.
It's
terrifying.
It's a gaslighting movie.
Yeah,
It's a Me Too movie.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And one of the things I like is that they establish. I mean, look, like, it's not a spoiler to say that somebody becomes invisible. It's there in the title.
It's the title.
They don't spend a lot of time like over explaining that. Like, oh yeah, he's an expert in optics. Like, he's a brilliant scientist.
He's brilliant, and he's like done groundbreaking work to the extent that he's this wealthy that he lives in this like slab of cliff overlooking Stinson Beach.
Right, but it's like that's all they say. Like, you don't get a montage of the work, right? Like you don't get some whole thing like, or in some movies you would see them waste time with like things on the wall about look how brilliant this is,
right.
and
I my thing with horror movies, like I remember thinking it after Us, and then it came up again recently with another Blumhouse movie this year.
Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, which is like it's like explain nothing or explain everything. But if you're going to be in the mushy middle somewhere, then you're just going to leave me unsatisfied. This movie barely explains anything, and I'm fine with that.
It's very efficient.
No,
it's very efficient.
Go,
Yeah, and you see a glimpse of his high-tech workshop down in the basement, and that's enough to let you know this guy means business.
Right. And here's the thing, like. I'm sure there are going to be horror fans that read reviews of this and go, it's a B2, I don't care. This movie scared the crap out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, whatever it's about, whatever you think about, its messaging or whatever it's trying to say, it is a super effective horror movie.
It is, because it's incredibly relevant, but also the way in which it scares you is as old as time. Like, it's silence.
Yeah.
It's pacing. It's the dread of the expectation of what you know is around that corner, or at the other end of that ladder, or whatever it is. Like, it's paced so well that you're just like squirming in anticipation of what you know is going to come.
And it's also that thing of like, I know this terrible thing and nobody believes me.
Right. People think she's crazy, and he is of course brilliant, and so he finds a million ways. And again, you kind of have to just go with the idea that he's going to be omnipresent, omnipresent. He's a high-tech, brilliant guy. He's been controlling her forever. He knows every little bit about her, and
master manipulator.
Right, you have to just sort of go with that.
Yes,
right. And what this movie does really well is, as opposed to just physical violence, like the manipulation of her emotionally and the gaslighting, where you start to see, is she downing herself? And Moss is so good at showing us this character that is trying to be, learn to be brave enough even to just walk out to the street and get the mail, right? And as she gets farther and farther down that road, and then you see her start to draw herself back in because the walls go back up, and then she's trying to stand up for herself. And yeah, I really liked this movie.
Yeah, that was a very moving bit with how far she gets out to the sidewalk in what is otherwise, a kind of a fantastical scenario. That feels very realistic, and I'm sure that's very true for a lot of women who are going through
that kind
a
of trauma.
PTSD, of course. There's so much Hitchcock in this. Like, it's very much its own thing, but there are so many really cool Hitchcock homages from the setting, the San Francisco and also that whole section of Marin, like that windy, rocky, beautiful, but also foreboding section of Marin County there. There's a shot of her toward the end where we see her in various states of looking beautiful, looking kind of, low key, looking absolutely trashed. But there's a section where she has like the perfect kind of like blonde, smooth, old school Hollywood glamour locks against like a black coat and a black dress. And the way the light is hitting her, it's so dramatic that she could have been one of Hitchcock's blondes for sure.
Yeah. And this is also winds up being a movie about a man not just trying to control a woman, but trying to control her body. There's a whole subplot about, when they were married, like that he wanted her to be pregnant. She was taking birth control pills on the sly. And, like that then kind of turns into this whole other thing that I think gives this movie additional resonance, but also additional just like horror.
And with Elisabeth Moss in it, there's also a Handmaid's Tale element to some of this here, as far as women being in control of their bodies.
We talk about cinematography from time to time on this series.
Weekly.
This is an example of how to use what is called the male gaze in a really, really effective storytelling way.
True.
Right? Because there's a lot of these shots that you start to realize relatively early on, like, oh, this is the point of view of the husband, right? And it just lingers, and it just kind of sits there, and it is almost like this kind of riff on the idea of,
and then at other times, like the shot will be wider than it needs to be, and so you start filling in the blank of he's standing there,
and that's to suggest her isolation and her being cornered.
That also, it's shot by the guy who shot Whannell's previous film, Upgrade, which I have not seen, but I've heard interesting things about.
And he shot, hold on, I was just looking it up. He's an Australian DP named Stefan Duccio. He shot that's not The Mule. It's a different The Mule. That's not the Eastwood The Mule. Upgrade is the main thing. But yeah, it's it uses these kind of cold and stylish spaces in a way that really heightens the sense that she is in a prison, but also the use of glass. There's so much glass in that house overlooking the water. It's sort of a cool like visual conceit with the see-through, elements to come. So it's sort of like a foreshadowing of that. She's amazing, and she does so much just with her eyes. It's a really demanding role physically, emotionally. It's a huge range she has to play. I like the fact that they establish also very efficiently that she, before meeting him, was, an architect and somebody, smart, esteemed, on her, a solid person on her way to probably her own career, a great thriving career, and then she meets him and it derails her. But she wears that Cal Poly architecture sweatshirt it's like this talisman, totem, like a reminder of who she used to be.
Yeah, somebody accused her at one point of like being after his money, and it's like she's like the one person who wasn't, and in fact like the one person that he hung on to because like she didn't need anything from him, and that
Right.
made her a thing that he had to then conquer, you know.
And Aldis Hodge is really good in this
He
too.
is.
And what could have just been like a bland supporting role, he gets a lot to play off
Yes.
of with her. Storm Reid has this really lovely presence, but she's called upon to do a lot more intense physical stuff here. Everyone's really good in this.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
I hate the phrase elevated horror, and I don't know that this is that. I mean, this is like a straight up traditional horror movie.
This is smart genre, basically.
But it's also really relevant.
Well,
too.
and I think it's as much a psychological thriller as it is a horror movie. And without giving it away, the ending is damn near perfect.
yeah.
Like
So satisfying.
it's so easy to like screw up an ending, and
Yeah.
God, this is so good on so many levels. I loved the ending and the way all the characters handle it. This is a terrific film.
Yes.
If you are blown away by Elisabeth Moss here, which you should, and you have not been watching Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, if you did not see Her Smell last year, get caught up. She's an extraordinary actress.
She can do it all. So I'm saying 9.
8.8.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I'm a little low because it drags a little bit in the middle,
Okay.
but it's still a great movie. 8.
You said 8.5.
Oh, sorry, 8.5.
Our number's an 8.8.
Nice.
Go see it, please. And you're probably all shocked, like, what?
Yeah.
The Invisible Man is that good?
No, it is.
Yes, it is that
it
good.
is that good. Yeah, I'm very, very
Please
impressed.
go see The Invisible
Stop
Man.
it. Just stop it. Thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and please check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Lots of fun exclusive stuff for our members. This week, we will be reviewing a movie that our members picked for us. There are 5 new Spike Lee movies out on Blu-ray, and they chose among them Summer of Sam. So we'll be reviewing that this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.